Warriors, this is the shoulder mobility workout that you have been asking for. It is a long one. I put in as many shoulder mobility exercises that I could think of, and the whole thing's less than 20 minutes, so it's not like, forever. But there are a ton of great gems in here. So I would love for you to run through it at least once and then pick certain things here and there that you will consistently commit to doing 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'm telling you, shoulder mobility is one of those things that really affects a lot of people in a negative way, regardless of if you are active or not. Our daily activity causes our shoulders to roll forward. We get this concaveness where our chest is tight, our back is weak, our shoulders are forward, and it just doesn't allow us to have free movement. I won't tell you the amount of clients that their overhead press comes up like they're doing like a cheerleader V. I don't know if anyone relates to that, where their arms can't come straight up over their head because their shoulders are tight, their lats are locked. And it's no one's fault but your own and society having an effect on you. But it's all good because we're gonna fix it. Totally doable, totally in your hands. You are totally in control of this, and you just have to put some extra effort into it. But it will help prevent injury, which is super important because I can't tell you how many people injure their shoulder, their rotator cuff, just by reaching their arm back behind them in the simplest movement. Second thing is it will help strengthen your upper body. Shoulders are a powerhouse muscle group. Even though they're comprised of small muscles, they are a big part of your body. So we want to make sure that when you are doing shoulders, you're working the muscles in the right way and we are not reinforcing poor movement patterns. I highly recommend, if you have it, to get a foam roller, grab a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball, or softball, any of the balls, something like that. What else am I using? For one piece, I use a small circular resistance band. Those are the main things. Oh, the last thing is a long stick-like thing. So you could use a broomstick. Just take the broom handle off, or the broom sweeper off. Or if you have one long straight resistance band that you can grab quite wide, you can use that too. Those are the tools that you're gonna need for this. And if you don't have them, I just encourage you to do the movements that I'm doing anyway without them. You'll still get a benefit. So yeah, on to the video. Alrighty, so what you're gonna need for this first mobility exercise is a broomstick handle or something like a very strong resistance band. You want to grab the edges or as far away on the band as you can. And you're going to start by doing single arm around the head. This is just like a big shoulder circle. Now, the farther you grab on the stick or the band, the least amount of resistance you're going to get. So the smaller the stretch, but some of you might be really effing tight, and that's what you need to do. If you feel like you're not getting much of a stretch as you make these big shoulder circles around, you're going to just bring your hands in a little bit closer. So just follow along with what I do, and now we're going to reverse sides. So again, you're going to bring your arms up. You want to make sure your arms stay straight the whole time. Nice big shoulder circle, nice big stretch in your back. Feels good, you know what I mean? All right, now we're gonna go straight back over the head and straight forward. So similar thing, we're just doing big shoulder circles. The closer you grab on the stick or the resistance band, the more intense it's gonna be, but do not push it. Really listen to your body because the sticking point right there behind you is where it's gonna get really tough. Think about it. We are sitting a lot, we are on our phones, we're on our computers, we're sitting at desks, our shoulders are so rolled forward and our chests are so tight and our back is so weak and just not used to this position that it really needs some gentle love. So gently love your shoulders. Next mobility exercise we have is something that may look a little strange. May look a little strange, but promise, it's awesome. So basically what you're doing here is pushing your shoulders out and then squeezing them together, but you're just using some rotation and some shoulder circles in this, forward and back. So basically, all I want you to do is think about pushing your shoulder blades apart and then squeezing them together and adding a shoulder roll in there. So I'm rolling forward and I'm rolling down. You can see what I'm doing in this position, which actually is quite effective if you can't quite get it on the floor. You can just put your arms out in front of you and pretend like you are, washing those windows. We just Windexed our windows and we're just washing them, newspaper in hand. You know what I'm talking about. A big part of this movement is shoulder blade retraction, which is what I'm doing here. Shrugging your shoulders up, really reaching up through your entire sides of your back, and then driving the shoulder blade and the lats down, trying to keep the arms as straight as possible as you do it. Next, arm raises and retractions. You're just going to bring your arms straight up over your head, really big stretch in your back. As we do this, you can see I'm rotating my hands around. Even though it looks like I'm just rotating my hands, I'm actually rotating my entire shoulder joint. So when my hands are up, my shoulders are back, and when my palms face down, my shoulders are slightly rolled forward. So we're just going to bring movement into this really graceful little mobility exercise we have going on. Next, as you can see, I'm going to grab a lighter weight, not the cat ball, but a lighter dumbbell, one of the lightest ones I have. You can even do this with a water bottle. That's how light I'm talking. We're doing some shoulder rotator cuff rotations. For this, your arm is in a 90-degree angle. Weight and wrist are right over elbow. Elbow is in line with your shoulder. You're going to come up and open, trying to rotate your shoulder back as much as you can. Then as you come forward, you're allowing your shoulder blade to roll forward and your shoulder to come down, maintaining that 90-degree angle in the elbow the whole time. I like to put a little space between the back of my arm and my body. Next, we're coming straight up and down behind you. So we're getting a little extra shoulder stretch because we are reaching back. Can't tell you how many people I know who've injured their shoulders because their rotator cuff is just like at the tipping point. They reach back in their car for something to get in the back seat and torn. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we add these regardless of if you have shoulder pain or not. So then we're going to switch it around. I'm not using weight for this because the other weight was actually too heavy. So again, 90-degree angle. Rotate it all the way down. Take your time with this. It's not meant to be done fast. It's meant to be done really mindfully, not heavy weight, just bringing mobility. And then I'm going to come down behind me and reach up right over my shoulder. Straight arm, trying to get as much of a stretch, reaching back in my shoulder as I can. Next, we got the alphabet. Letter M to the letter W. Can you see what I'm putting down? Yeah, pick it up. I like to do this with a light weight, or you could do even something like the broomstick that I grabbed. You could even do it with a resistance band. So you want to keep your elbows at the 90-degree angle the whole time, rotating them all the way down on the way down and then all the way up on the way up, trying to really rotate your shoulder back to its full capacity. We're about full capacity, if not a little bit past full capacity, because we're trying to bring more mobility into what your body has now. Same thing with this next exercise. Arms are straight. You are bringing your arms straight up behind you, trying to push the mobility that you have at the moment. Don't force it too much. Just use your breath and try and get a little bit of a deeper stretch each time you raise up. This next exercise, we'll call it a windmill, is amazing for shoulder isolation and really getting stability there in your shoulder. You definitely want to wait for this. Something that is a little bit challenging because we really want the shoulder to start to struggle and keeping that weight up over your head. The key is driving your shoulder blade down and locking it into place. What I'm doing here is sitting back in my hips, rotating my torso towards the leg that's in front, and then tapping my hand on the ground. In that down position, I'm gazing up at my hand. I'm twisting and rotating my torso as much as I can towards my thigh. And again, I'm sitting back into my hip. From the other direction, you can see I'm keeping my arms straight the whole time. If keeping your arms straight the whole time is difficult, you have a lot of shoulder dysmobility that you need to work on. So you will absolutely want to watch and do this video multiple times a week. So starting with trying to keep your shoulder and your arms straight as you stand and as you lean down is a big factor in this. I would say if you can't keep your arms straight, go to the lowest weight as possible. You can always just use a full water bottle. Next, plank to side plank is an amazing way to bring mobility and stability into your shoulder blade, because if you notice, you're moving around your shoulder as you open up into side plank and come back down. We're going to do this modified because it's pretty challenging. So I want you to come to full plank, open up into your side plank, keep it nice and strong. You want your shoulders stacked one right on top of the other. So when you're in your side plank, your left shoulder is stacked right over your right shoulder, which is stacked right over your wrist. If this is too much to be on your wrist, you can always do it on your forearm on the ground. Just make sure that the same thing, the elbow is stacked with the shoulder and the shoulder stacked with the opposite shoulder. This is just another variation of side plank when you leave one leg down and one leg straight. I'm just giving you guys some different movements. Whew, yeah, we do need to do a child's pose right now because the struggle's real. The shoulder struggle is real. Know what I'm saying? Next, love this exercise. I call it fingers to floor because that is the goal, to get your fingers to stay in touch with the floor the entire time you are bringing your arm all the way back around in a full circle and then reversed. You can adjust how difficult this is by how much you lay on your side or how much you open up and lay partially on the ground. So I would start out with finding where your body position needs to be to have your two of your fingers stay in touch with the ground the whole time as you bring that arm behind you. Then I want you to lift your torso up a little bit just so your fingers do not touch the ground anymore, especially when you bring your arm way behind you, like right here. That's going to be the hardest part. So I want you to play around with it and find somewhere where it's a struggle, it's a stretch. But it feels good, and you could feel your shoulder opening up a little bit every time you do these circles. Listen, like I said, the goal is to have fingers touch the floor the whole time, but that's not going to happen. So all of you overachievers, don't get too carried away with this. I sit here and do probably like 10 to 20 of these in a row. I know I'm not giving you sets or numbers or anything like that. I really want you to listen to your body and feel it as it moves through these mobility movements. And you can start to tell like, oh wow, yeah, from the first one to the 50th one, however many it takes, my body's now opening up a little bit. It's going to be different for everyone. Balls. You need balls. We need a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, something like that. This is better than a foam roller, especially for the shoulders, because it is smaller and it gets in the nooks and crannies. I'm telling you, it's painful, but it's amazing. You're going to find a trigger point. A trigger point feels like a knot. A knot feels like the most painful thing you've ever experienced in your life next to childbirth, I'm assuming. You're going to take that ball, you're going to maneuver it into your shoulder blade so that that ball is resting right into that knot. Whatever contortion you need to get your body in, That's what I need you to do. You can do this on the floor. You can also do it on the wall. Then, like you see me doing here, you're going to bring movement into that hold. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to lay on this ball until, my brains fall out because it's so intensely painful. I want you to add more pain. Haha. I want you to add movement into this form of myofascial release. So mimic any type of shoulder movement that you would functionally do. That's shoulder circles, that's reaching up over your head and coming back down, that's reaching your arm straight up over your head and coming back down, that's reaching your arm out to the side, all the way up and coming back down. If you have shoulder mobility issues, this is an amazing thing to do daily. Yes, daily, to help break up the muscle tightness, the knots, the fascia, that's become bound together, that is preventing your range of motion. We're increasing and improving range of motion and breaking up anything that's in our path. So I'm going to move to a wall to show you how to do this in the front of your shoulder and chest, because that's where a lot of the tightness is. So you're going to get to a wall. You're going to put the ball between you and the wall. Again, find a trigger point in the front of your shoulder, or you can put it right on the upper part of your chest, not quite your breast, but still like below the collarbone and above the breast tissue. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to find a trigger point, you're going to find a knot, lean into it, and then start to bring some arm movement into the range of motion. Big arm circles up and down. You can mimic a chest press or mimic a push-up, as long as your arm is free, and doing this on a wall gives you that freedom to do it. Next, you can see I'm using a resistance band, just a yellow circle resistance band, but you can do this with nothing. The resistance band does add a little bit of resistance when you open your arms up, but you can still do this and get an effect on your shoulder stability. So you're going to be in a plank or kneeling position, and you are stepping your hands out wide and then stepping them close right under your shoulders. So the starting position is hands under shoulders. You're going to step one hand out wide, other hand out wide, bring the first hand in, and then the second hand in. You're going to repeat this, I would say at least like 10 to 15 times. Next, you're going to do an overhead press functional movement. As you do this, you can see my palms are facing me on the down, and as I press up, my palms face away, or they face the camera as I press up. The resistance band adds some resistance, so I'm pressing away from myself the entire time, so my shoulders get a little bit more activated. But as I rotate my palms, and really it's me rotating my shoulders open and closed, you'll get a great benefit. So do this one. Definitely do it. So I know you got you guys with the ball before, but we're going to take a foam roller right now and foam roll our lats. The lats are these muscles that I'm touching in the video on the sides of my back. They go from under my shoulder, kind of like by my armpit, all the way down to right above the bottom of my ribs. That's what I'm going to foam roll. So I'm going to start high. I'm going to start in that position right under my armpit. I'm going to find a trigger point. You can do this with a ball. It's just going to be more intense. That's really the only difference. With this, when our lats are tight, it prevents us being able to reach up over our head without bending our arms. So you know what I said before about that. So you absolutely want to give this some attention. So as you can see, I'm finding a knot, and then I bring my arm movements into it. So any of those mobility things we did before, like the 90 degrees, open and close for the shoulder, do that, especially if you feel that knot getting tortured, for lack of a better word, as you do it. Another thing you could do is mimic an overhead press. Raise your arms straight up above your head and then bring it back down, like I'm doing here. Oh, you can see the pain in my face because the knots are real. Everyone's got them. Just got to find them. I used to call this search and destroy, because you want to roll around until you find that knot, aka search, and then once you find it, you want to destroy it. Now you're gonna lay on the foam roller. If you don't have a foam roller, you just need something that elevates your body up off the floor so you can get a bigger range of motion. This is similar to fingers to floor. We're just doing it in an upright position. So chest is as open as possible, which, because we're elevated off the floor on a small surface, it allows the chest to open up a little bit. So you can see I can work on my range of motion as my chest is kind of forced to be opened just because of gravity and because of the smaller surface it's on. And then we're just doing all of our things. So we had fingers to floor, and now we're doing 90 degrees, open and close on both sides. Yeah, we like this one. Now we're going to bring that foam roller, or whatever it is that you're using to elevate you, horizontal or perpendicular to our back. And we're just going to let our chest and our back and our shoulders just open up. We're just going to flop right over. If you have a big exercise ball, you can do this on there, and you probably have already discovered how great it feels. So just relax, breathe, just let gravity do its thing. I'm bringing some movement in here because my shoulders feel tight, my chest feels tight, so I'm doing some overhead presses in this. You can even figure out how to do some chest presses here. Bring in movement into the stretches, aka mobility. I highly recommend doing this at least 3 to 4 times a week. You guys are awesome. See you in the next video.